Why, hello there. Jacob here. And today, figure a quick jump on and do free agency preview before, free agency begins tomorrow. I will say, though, I don't necessarily see the Wild being overly active per se. However, though, you never know. I mean, this offseason has been a little bit more interesting than I thought. Granted, like I say, with all the cap issues and this and that and the other thing, I could see the Wild potentially swinging some trades or something like that. But again, like I say, starting at 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday, July 1st, or as of the time I'm recording this, about 13 and a half, 14-ish hours or so. Who knows what's going to happen. So, but anyway, figure a quick come on and, just basically announce who Minnesota had qualified for offers, as well as kind of just give a quick update on the Iowa Wild AHL members who have re-signed with the organization. So I think we'll go ahead and actually start off with the re-signings down in Iowa. So yeah, the Minnesota Wild re-signed Zane McIntyre, Dakota Mermis, and Nick Swaney to primarily Iowa Wild deals and stuff like that. However, basically, it looks like all three of these guys are 1-year, 2-way contracts for next season. So again, Zane McIntyre, goaltender, Dakota Mermis, defenseman, and forward Nick Swaney have all signed 1-year, 2-way contracts for next season. Which, again, solid. I mean, we saw a little bit of Mermis, saw a little bit of Nick Swaney, and I think McIntyre was even like our emergency e-bug goaltender last year, kind of towards the end of the season and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, like I say, Dakota Mermis has played a few games with us. Swaney, I can't remember, and you can never have too much depth, especially because the Wild aren't afraid to necessarily play some of those guys, especially with the injury history and stuff like that as it is. But, yeah, now it basically kind of just concludes the Iowa Wild news as of now. Now, on to the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild have announced their qualifying offers. Basically, these are the guys that Minnesota has offer sheeted. So yeah, the Minnesota Wild general manager today announced the National Hockey League club has made qualifying offers to defenseman Calen Addison, forward Brandon Duhaime, and goaltender Philip Gustafsson. But they did not make qualifying offers to Damian Giroux, Mason Shaw, and Sam Steele. Now, Minnesota Wild fans, before you freak out about the Mason Shaw thing, the dude's coming off of 4 ACL injuries and repairs and stuff like that. So I have a feeling if Minnesota wanted to bring him back, they probably would. They probably can, honestly, for a cheap, prove it deal again. But yeah, I mean, out of the 3 names, Damian Giroux, Mason Shaw, and Sam Steele, probably Mason Shaw's one I'm most bummed about, just because, again, it's a feel-good story. I mean, however, though, Sam Steele did have a pretty good season for us last year. I mean, all things considered, I don't think he quite panned out the way we wanted him to, because if I remember, we acquired him, I can't remember if we acquired him during the season, right before the season started, because Tyson Jost was a member of the Wild for about 10 days or something like that before he was put on waivers and then eventually swiped up by Buffalo. And it also sounds like Buffalo isn't re-signing him either or qualifying him, so who knows? But yeah. And Damian Giroux was another one of those depth pieces that I think played in 1 or 2 games last year. Didn't really do a whole lot, but yeah. So anyway, to the guys that they did qualify, Calen Addison. So obviously, with Dumba potentially being out and stuff like that, this move made sense. Even though, for whatever reason, Evason I don't know if it's between Guerin and Evason. I don't know if there's front office issues or this or that or the other thing, or Calen Addison just isn't quite mature enough, old enough, maybe experienced enough. I don't know. But this move makes a lot of sense because he is a younger defenseman who, remember, we brought in John Klingberg at the trade deadline, and John Klingberg basically did the exact same things that Calen Addison does. However, though, if he does end up clearing, the qualifying offers and stuff like that, and does end up signing to Minnesota, I need to see more of him. Because, again, it's one of those things where we got to figure out what we have with a lot of these younger guys moving forward, especially as we get out of the cap buyout era. And then, of course, Brandon Duhaime, again, smart decision there, too, because, again, he's one of those grinders. He's one of those, he can put him almost anywhere and he can contribute. He's not afraid to play dirty and greasy, but he has enough speed and size and stuff like that. I mean, between him and Dewar last year, they accounted for a lot of our shorthanded goal opportunities and, well, shorthanded goals. And Duhaime is just, again, he's one of those players that's a multifaceted tool. He's young, he's fast, you can pretty much play him wherever you need him. And then, of course, Filip Gustavsson. This is going to be probably, out of all three of those names, the most intriguing name, because goaltending is at a premium. And obviously, I don't think I need to tell you how well Gustavsson played last year. The dude, you could have argued, if he would have started off better, if he would have started off the same way he basically played the entire season last year, you could argue he could be in the Vezina conversation there. And the dude's 25 years old. He's a young pup still in the world of goaltending. A lot of these goaltenders don't even necessarily play in the NHL till they're almost in their late 20s. So, because goaltending is one of those positions that usually takes a while. However, who knows, So, I just hope that the Wild can keep Gustavsson, keep Duhaime, and can ultimately keep Addison. But if we had to choose two out of those three, Duhaime and Gustavsson are priorities number 1 and 2. Or I should say 1A and 1B. So, like I say, free agency is about to start. Things could get very spicy very quickly. So, just a little update on the Minnesota Wild and Iowa Wild organization. And, like I say, here's to free agency and here's to the upcoming season. So, until we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good night, and also stay tuned as well because, let's just say, Cool Hockey has a mystery box. And your boy was able to get one of them. And it sounds like there's quite a bit that could potentially be inside of these, not just a jersey. More details when that comes in and all that stuff, so that'll basically conclude everything then. So, until we meet again, this is Jacob signing out.